In this video, we're gonna show you the one thing that is gonna help you close over 75% of the prospects that walk through your fitness studio door. All right, Corbyn, we are gonna walk through the client intake form. So before we go into the live role play, why don't you share, why should we use a client intake form? Why is this important?
Yeah, the client intake form is probably the most integral thing in part of the sale. In sales, we talk a lot about showing rather than telling, and allowing our client to tell us really what they're looking for. And so the client intake form is designed to be used as a prompt so that I can get questions and answers out of you. I can elicit a response. And ultimately, the other reason for the client intake form is that I'm able to overcome objections before you even bring them up, because I'm finding the answers to those objections inside of the client intake form.
Yeah, and I think to add to that, it really helps you stay on a straight line with your prospect. It keeps them from going off on a tangent and you going off on a tangent and kind of getting out of that flow state of really getting that yes out of your client at the end. So we're actually gonna role play the client intake form for you guys, and we're gonna stop and pause as we go through the questions, because I think it's just gonna be important for you to share, why you're asking the questions, how you're asking the questions, and how you can really make this super effective. So with that being said, are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, here we go. Okay.
Awesome. So the client intake form, I've got kind of the most important information, the name, your emergency contact, and a little bit of information that might be useful. So at this point in time, we've kind of had an icebreaker. Oh, looks like you work over here, or looks like you live over here. Looks like we're neighbors. So now we've built up and established a little bit of rapport. One of the things I love about the client intake form, you'll see, is that it has my class schedule on there. So Brittany, I'm taking a look at the client intake form here, and it looks like you've selected 3 or 4 days that you can really work out. Tell me a little bit about kind of your work schedule.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess I picked the early morning classes because I would prefer to work out before work. I start work at 8 o'clock and it's about a 30-minute drive from here, and I only live right around the corner. So if I take that 5 o'clock class, I have time to get home, eat breakfast, and do all that stuff. So that was pretty much why I picked the morning classes, even though it's super early.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I know it's super early, but the 5 a.m.ers, that's a special group of people right there. You're gonna be in with kind of a really special group of people. I noticed that there was also a weekend. Do you travel on weekends? Are we able to get you in?
Yeah, I should be able to get in on the weekends. Typically Saturday mornings probably, but not really on Sundays.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so in my head, I think I know that she's gonna be able to make it to the 5 a.m. workout. So from a programming and a prescription standpoint, I'm thinking 5 a.m. and weekends. Now you'll notice I also mentioned 3 to 4 days per week, because most of the time our unlimited memberships are best used 3-4 times per week. So that's why I wanted her to circle 3 or 4 days there. Also, one of the most common objections here is no time to attend. And they tell you that right when you've got to the price point. Oh, sorry, I don't know if I can make it in that many times. Well, right here, you circled 3 to 4 days per week. The next thing, back into it. Brittany, tell me a little bit about kind of your current workout routine, programming, and kind of what you've done in the past.
Yeah, I really like group style classes. I've done it a lot, done like Zumba and, just like classes at the local rec center, like nothing major, but I have some weight loss goals that I want to hit, and so it seems like kind of cardio training is what I need to do. I would say I haven't been super consistent in the last few months, which is why I'm here. I know I need to get back into it, so haven't been consistent, and then I like kind of like cardio, weight training, stuff like that.
Yeah, you got it. I hear you. So it sounds like you like group classes, and you were going to the rec center. When did you stop going?
I would say probably like 6 months ago.
Okay, and you probably haven't done much for 6 months. So we're kind of easing you back in.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. You mentioned a little bit about consistency and stuff like that. When you were at the rec center, were you making it the 3-4 times? Were you doing the 5 a.m. class?
Yeah, I would say that I'm one of those people that when I get dedicated to something, I'm dedicated. Like I'll do it and I sign up for something and I'm gonna, commit to it 100%. So yeah, then it was 3, 4, sometimes 5 times a week. I would go on the weekends. I would say I was very dedicated when I was going there.
Awesome. That's so awesome. Well, hopefully we can find you the spot right here where we can get you back into that. So you'll notice she mentioned a little bit about weight loss or weight loss and some gains there. So I haven't quite touched on that there. But I know that she's interested in group classes. Let's say if she didn't come in, she's never done group classes. I know that's a red flag for me right there. I want to find out where she's at. I also noticed that she's been to a rec center. Now, typically a rec center is going to be a little less expensive than a boutique fitness. So I know that in the back of my head, there's a little bit of a red flag there that I need to touch upon. I also know that if we can get her into a routine and kind of find that, we can get her consistent and we can get her dedicated to it, right? So I'm going to move on. I'm going to talk a little bit about the goals before I attack the pricing right now. So Brittany, we're back into it here. You told me a little bit about some weight loss goals and stuff like that. Kind of talk to me a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, so I mean, I've had a couple kids and gained a lot of weight and got into the rec center, got back on the wagon and things like that. And then obviously fell off, work got busy. I just didn't find the time in my schedule and gained a lot of weight back. And now I'm just not super happy with where I'm at, and I just know I need to get back on track. And I don't really have a like specific weight loss goal. I mean, like 15 pounds would be great if I could hit that, but obviously I understand that this is a process and it takes time. So
yeah, for sure. And look, obviously I'm a guy, so I have not had kids myself, but we have a lot of members here that have come back from multiple kids and stuff like that as well. So we've experienced that, and as a coach, I feel pretty confident in there. So talk to me. I know you mentioned about 15 pounds. What's going to really drive you towards that 15? Why 15 pounds, and why now after kind of 6 months?
I would say 15 pounds because that's just a weight I feel comfortable at. I feel like if I think about the time in my life when I was like in the best shape, where I was the most confident, it was at that weight. So that's why I put that number in place, because I just remember back at that time where it was like I see pictures and I'm like, yeah, that was definitely a time in my life where I felt really good about myself. And I would say now is just, I visited the doctor the other day and there was just numbers that I wasn't super excited about, and having your doctor tell you that you need to lose weight is a little bit discouraging. So that was a huge driver for me as well.
So as I continue to take notes, one of my questions along was, what were you doing when you were most physically active, right? And so I'm now connecting that 15 pounds and that she knows that she was in her best shape 15 pounds ago, right? So that's one thing that comes to my mind here. We talk about the journey and, is she having medication? Is the doctor saying we might have to get you on blood pressure medication? And that is the kind of stuff that you're really looking for, because that's really the why of the why of the why. You'll notice that when, as a male, I have to be quite careful the way I approach weight loss with a female, right? So you'll also notice that I did my best to gauge the why of the why. And I felt that Brittany kind of gave me enough that I could the kids are the motivator, right? Going to the doctor. That was kind of the deep dive. 15 pounds can often kind of be a little bit of a facade. It can be a little bit of a smoke screen. We think, 15 pounds. Well, 15 pounds is quite an arbitrary number, right? And Brittany, I mean, step out of role play here. You've dealt with a lot of people that want to lose 15 pounds, and I might look at you and go, you might not need to lose 15 pounds, toning you up and stuff. How do you have those conversations as a female to female?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that you always tie that stuff to is what you can offer in your studio. Like, you have an in-body scanner, maybe you do results tracking, things like that, and you let people know, like, listen, you might be really surprised when we put you on the in-body scanner and we do a scan. You might find out you only have 5 to 6 pounds to lose. You just never know. And so I think kind of having those conversations of like, you're always the hardest on yourself as a female. You are always hard on yourself, no matter if somebody tells you look good or not. You're always going to be your worst critic. But always tying it back to the services that you provide at your studio and how you can really show them a very clear picture of their journey and how it starts, how it's in the middle, and how it ends is always really important.
It's a journey, right? 15 pounds doesn't just happen overnight.
Right.
It's a journey, and a lot of the time we can get into some aesthetics and stuff like that along the way. Now, you mentioned about kind of mapping the journey. You also acknowledge we might have an in-body scanner. We might have something that's actually able to give a body assessment, and that's really awesome, because body fat percentage, right? We all know muscle is more active than fat, right, as well. And that's really, sometimes people think 15 pounds and they really don't need to. So use that if you can.
Yep.
The other thing that comes to mind is making sure that my workout is going to help to get her there as well. So at this point in time, let's say I do a HIIT training or a functional strength class, MMA, boxing, whatever that might be. I'm now going to kind of talk a little bit. I'll acknowledge how the workout will most probably help her with that 15 pounds. Strength in the strength room, a little bit of HIIT training increases cardio. So this is where you get a little bit more specific, but you'll notice I might only say a couple sentences about my workout because I'm still in that fact finding. I'm not in the selling mode yet as well. So really good fact finding along the way. We're also building rapport. Keep in mind that she's kind of pouring out to me, and even as a male, I've had experiences like this where women do. They will talk about weight loss with you because they see you as the professional. They see you as the, and you've really got to be able to handle some of that sensitively, but don't forget, in the back of my mind, I know that I have to leverage that as part of the sale in order to kind of give you a kick up the butt. Now, one of the next things that we dive into is on a scale of 1 to 10, how motivated, how passionate are you about achieving these goals? Back into it. So Brittany, you were a 7 out of 10 here, which, look, 7 is better than a 5. It's better than a 4 as well. If you don't mind me asking, what's stopping you from getting from a 7 to a 10?
I'll be honest with you. I think that part of it is just my own confidence in myself and my ability to get back into a routine. The second thing is obviously cost. That is a factor for me. Obviously, got to consider that too. But if I had to say, it'd be those two things. It's just like, am I confident enough in myself to achieve what I know I want to achieve in this program, and is it going to fit the budget that I have to?
Well, look, I mean, a 7, like I said, is way better than a 5, and you've made the first step, which is walking in the door today, so super proud of you on that one. You mentioned a little bit about cost there. How much do you typically expect to pay for a group fitness workout like ours?
I mean, obviously, I walk in here and it's beautiful, and I'm not going to make an assumption that it's $10 a month. I obviously understand that, but I would say $100 to $150 is fair.
And the cost per workout on that, like cost per class session?
$10. Okay. $10 to $12, I think, is fair.
Cool. So we touched a little bit about on price, and I know that price might probably the biggest objection. When we wrap this big number, $100, $150, $200, it's quite a big number sometimes to take in. If you've ever done weekly pricing, $200, it sounds a lot better at $50 a week from a sales thing. And that's why I really want to break down the cost per session, right? $10 cost per session being an acceptable amount for her. Well, I know in the back of my head that I have packages that are about $10 of a cost per session. And for anyone in pre-sales, this is a really relevant question as well. And I say that because if they think to pay $2 to $5, well, the only way to get to that $5 number is to all but come in basically every day. So we could get there, but I want to know if this is completely out of her budget. And it's not out of her budget. And what I was reading was that that she's kind of ready to make that now. Now, the next question comes down, and it asks if you have the support of the people closest to you.
This is like the money question.
Yes, right? Because most people having a partner and stuff like that, this is it, a buying decision. So I have one question up here that, do you have the support of the people closest to you? The second side of that is the emergency contact at the top. So Brittany, it looks like you put Marcia up here. That's your emergency contact, right? Your partner? Awesome. Does Marcia ever want to come in and try a workout?
She might be interested in it, I would say. I mean, she knows I'm here. She knows that this is a goal of mine, something I really want to get back into. So I think if she sees that I like it, she would definitely want to support me and come in and take a class too.
She does group fitness classes like
no,
this?
No, she works out on her own mainly.
Okay, like lifting and stuff? Okay. So it's the closest question that I can come to. Does your spouse, or do you have the support of the people closest to you? And referencing the emergency contact. You'll see I did it for a few different reasons. Number one, I'm always looking for a referral. Marcia, when can we get Marcia in for a free class, right? I want to get that referral because that just cost me $0 because I just asked the question. But I also alluded to that, and I picked up some vital information because Brittany told me that my partner supports me. So in my head, I really don't think that spouse is going to be that much of a significant issue. In the other instance, I wanted to gauge what kind of workouts that they do, because often we see that like the husband goes into a big box gym, $10, $20 a month. And so in my head, and being a husband myself, you think, well, I'm paying $20 for this. Why do you have to pay 8 times or 9 times? Like, it really is. Unfortunately, those are the conversations that partners have. And so I really wanted to gauge that without saying, does your partner know you're here today? Which is quite an offensive question. Now, the bottom side of this, you'll notice I've overcome I'm not even really overcoming too much, but I'm fact-finding some of the objections. I'm just listening and taking notes on here. We'll deal with stuff either at the end of class or as we approach pricing. But I really am listening. I think this is sometimes where a lot of people go wrong. Is it's like, I got to talk to you, and it's like, no. We want them to talk to us.
You have to be a good listener.
Yeah, you got to really, sometimes it's like 80% me talking, and it's like, no, it needs to be flipped on that side. Some of the other questions inside of this client intake form would be, do you have any restrictions or injuries I need to know about? For those of you with nutritional add-ons, this would be a great question to ask. What does your diet, what is your nutrition? And I'm thinking, okay, could I potentially get an add-on inside of this too? Is there any other additional questions that you ask, Brett?
You mentioned the why of the why of the why. Like, if you feel like you're asking too many why questions, you know you're asking enough. When you get to a point where you're like, man, if I ask her another why question, she might come across the table and hit me. That's okay, because you want people to really explain to you why they're sitting in front of you. If they tell you, well, I want to lose 15 pounds, don't just brush over that. Why is 15 pounds important to you? Why that number? Why is that significant? Well, I want to fit in this jeans. Okay, well, why do you want to fit in those jeans? Does that they have some kind of significance to you? Well, I wore them on a date with my husband a couple of years ago, and he really gave me a lot of compliments, and I just haven't gotten those compliments from him since then. Well, why is compliments from your husband important? Is it like a confidence thing? What is that? And you start to really dive in with people, and you get them to that pain point. Matt says it all the time, poking the wound. Like, you really want to poke the wound with people. You want to drive them all the way to the pain, so that when you talk about the solution that you're going to give to them to their problem, they have no choice but to say yes. Like, they are just absolutely ready to say yes. And I think all of the questions that are on this client intake form support that.
Now, in order to successfully do this, you mentioned about having a low-skilled salesperson, right? Somebody that's kind of the first timer. No matter how successful you are in sales, you really have to find their motivator. You have to build rapport and connection. I often say this, we're in the human connection business. We are in the form of forming a relationship. When Brittany tells me that, I feel some level of responsibility. She's written on here, and now she's handed her fitness responsibility off to me now, because she's looking at me and going, you're the expert, right? If I'm Brittany and I had all the answers, I wouldn't be needing to lose 15 pounds, and I would be perfectly happy with my at-home gym or going to a big box. So whether or not Brittany doesn't want to lose 15 pounds and she looks like she's in phenomenal shape, there is an answer to a question. You have the answer, they've got the question. And so don't ever presume, don't ever assume, otherwise they wouldn't have walked into your gym that day. They've got a question, you need to show them the answer, and really here
the form
is how I'm gonna be able to derive that answer from you. And also, sometimes you're gonna get people, this isn't always perfect. Sometimes you get Brittany giving me one-word answers, or she's not quite the friendliest, and it can seem quite invasive. This allows me to head back onto that straight line so I can ask the next question. And elicit that response and really try and get in on there. Now, one thing I'll leave you with this. As a manager, as a studio owner, when you have employees doing this client intake form, while they're taking a workout, I want you to come out and quiz them. So if you were one of my employees, Brittany, and I'd see you go through this, Brittany, tell me a little bit about the person that's in class. So I want to know if you've listened to the goals. I want to know if they had any restrictions. And then I want you to tell me what membership you think that they should be signing up. The second you said, I haven't done anything in 6 months, and I like to work out 3-4 times a week, I think straight to an unlimited membership there, and I know I'm going to be insistent to Brittany on that, even though price might be a little bit better. I can, so this really is a high level. It allows you to be a better person at sales, really, right?
All right, guys, so if you guys want this client intake form, check out the description below to find your cheat sheet client intake form so that you can download it. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like and subscribe for more videos just like this one.